Good evening. Welcome to the Staples Center. Welcome to a wonderful night of hockey here with the LA Kings. I'd like to thank all of our alumni, our current students, our friends of the university for coming out tonight to the wonderful and beautiful evening here at the Staples Center. It's great to be here with Hall of Fame hockey player and President Luc Robitaille. Hey now. It's great to be here. So thanks for coming out tonight. My name is Michael Williams. I'm the Associate Dean, one of the Associate Deans at the Business School with responsibilities for alumni relations. So I get to do these events all over the world. We had one in the fall up in San Jose, California. Tonight we're here at the Staples Center. In April, we'll be in Shanghai, China with the president of Yum Brands, talking with the alumni and students there. So it means so much to me as a faculty member and as a friend of the university to travel around the world and engage with wonderful alumni who have had a great experience at Pepperdine University, whether they studied in Malibu or in Culver City or Irvine or Westlake or San Jose. It is a place that changes lives, and I'm delighted to be a part of it. Tonight's special program and all of the activities and events tonight are made possible by the very generous support of one of our most esteemed alumni, a woman who has touched my life and blessed many of us here at Pepperdine University, Mrs. Faye McClure and AIG. Can you please join me in thanking Faye McClure and AIG Insurance? Faye McClure is the Senior Vice President of Consumer Products and Segment Integration for the Americas at AIG, where she leads key growth strategies for consumer lines, including developing a high net worth strategy and cross-sell initiatives. Faye has spent the majority of her career at Farmers Insurance Group, culminating as Vice President, Head of Agent Marketing and Strategic Initiatives. Faye's recently completed her one-year birthday at AIG, and we're happy to say she made it through probation. She's now officially a member of the family. Faye is a graduate of Pepperdine University of our business school and is also a member of the University Board of Regents and the Grazie Dio School Board of Visitors. She serves on a number of additional boards, including the Wiley Center for Speech and Language Development. And Faye was named a Freedom Sister by the NAACP, and her profile was featured at the Museum of Tolerance. She was featured executive on Fox News' national telecast, Americans in Focus. She was named by Savoy magazine as one of the top 100 most influential blacks in corporate America, and she is a recipient of the Lisa Leslie Inspiring Woman Award. Faye, we really appreciate all that you do for Pepperdine, the students, the alumni, the faculty. We're all blessed by knowing you and for your generous support. And Faye is joined tonight by several colleagues from AIG that I'm happy to introduce, and thank you for joining us this evening here at the Staples Center. Joining Faye from AIG is Mr. Dennis Allenbaugh, the President of the Western Region of Property and Casualty at AIG, Troy Mette, the Managing Director of Southern California, and Mr. Bill Orgenson, the Executive Client Director and Major Accounts Practice for the Southwest region. Thank you, AIG, for your sponsorship tonight. I'm also delighted to introduce a friend of Faye's who's joined her tonight, Ms. Pamela Wiley, the President of the Los Angeles Speech and Language Therapy Center. Thank you for joining us, Pamela. Thank you. I would now like to turn the microphone over to Faye, who will introduce our dean, Dr. David Smith.
Good evening, everyone. I know you're out there. I can see you, but I didn't hear you. Good evening, everyone. That's what I'm talking about. We're here to honor a great individual, to hear him speak, Luc Robitaille. We're real excited about that. But before we get to Luc, it's my great honor, on behalf of American International Insurance Group, better known to you as AIG, we're proud to sponsor the Dean's Executive Leadership Series. I'd like to introduce David M. Smith, who is the interim dean of the Grazie Dio School of Business and Management. He has been at Pepperdine for almost 20 years, since 1996. In Dave's prior role as Senior Associate Dean, he had primary oversight of the faculty of the Graziadillo School and was instrumental in launching 2 new centers. First, the Center for Applied Research and the Center for Teaching and Learning Excellence. Dave also spearheaded the launch of the new online MBA program in 2013. An economist by training, Dave's expertise includes the areas of labor pay and productivity, data loss, and analysis of specific labor markets. He earned his MBA from Wheaton College and both his MS and PhD degrees from Michigan State University. He has been published in numerous academic and practitioner outlets, and his research on credit unions has been in arguments before the United States Supreme Court and in state legislative meetings. Dave has been a commentator on economic issues for various news media such as CNN, the London Times, the Los Angeles Times, Baltimore Sun, USA Today, the New York Times, and Investors Business Daily. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Interim Dean of Pepperdine's Graziadillo School of Business and Management, Dr. David M. Smith.
You all right? Okay, all right, there you go. Thank you, Faye, for that kind introduction. I don't have an exciting name like Luke. Just Dave doesn't have quite the same ring to it, but there we go. Now, I don't think it quite works. Thank you. Thank you for coming out tonight. We're really privileged to be hosted here by the Los Angeles Kings. We've got an exciting talk coming up from Luc Robitaille, and so I just want to share just a few quick things that are happening at the Graziadillo School at Pepperdine. First off, this is the first time we've announced this, one of the first times we've announced this beyond internally at Pepperdine. We're really excited that this year we're going to be launching a new institute at Pepperdine. We were given a generous gift by Fred Sands to launch the Fred Sands Institute of Real Estate. It's the 3rd largest gift that's been given to the Graziadillo School in its 40-plus year history. And look for more news. It's going to be very exciting. We're going to be launching a degree program in real estate along with certificate programs, and we're just really excited about Fred's gift to us and what it's going to allow us to do. In addition to that, we're always in the phase of looking and launching and studying new degree programs. And in that regard, we're going to be launching a new MS in Human Resources in January 2016. This is going to be a 1-year program, and we're going to launch it both in a part-time format and later to come a residential format. So if you have individuals who are interested in an MS in Human Resources, please reach out to me or any Pepperdine staff person you know, and we're happy to keep you informed of how that develops over the coming months. Thirdly, last week we were a few hundred miles north of here. We opened a new campus in San Jose. We have been in the Silicon Valley for over 20 years and serving that community with an executive MBA program. We've always used shared space in the past. We have a very robust alumni network in the Silicon Valley, and we've decided to take advantage of that by actually leasing some permanent space up there. So we were really excited. Yesterday we received a commendation from the state legislature about our new efforts in the San Jose area. And we're hoping that the Pepperdine's presence in the heart of entrepreneurial and just so much intellectual capital up there that we'll be able to help serve the needs of the Silicon Valley. In addition to that, just to share some good news, we've had a really a good year at the Graziadillo School in terms of enrollment. We've grown 20%. That says to us that the market is saying that the Graziadillo School offers good degree programs, and and we're doing that in a way that with good students and high student quality. So we're really excited about the year we're having. We feel like the programs that we're putting out there are being responded to well by the market. We're so glad to have so many of our students and alumni here, and we want you to know that we're committed to making sure that the value of a degree stays very high into the future. Finally, just an event notice. On March 26th, we are going to host the Future of Healthcare Symposium in downtown Los Angeles. There are some flyers over here on the table. If you know anyone who's interested in the future of healthcare, which we all should be at some level, I encourage you to pick up a flyer over there and share it with your colleagues. We're offering tickets at a vastly reduced price. We've got an excellent speaker lineup and to discuss a very important topic. It's going to be one of the most significant events that the Grazie Dio School has hosted in its history. Well, enough of the Grazie Dio School. Let's talk about our special speaker tonight. Luc Robitaille is a member of the Hockey Hall of Fame. He is the highest scoring left wing in NHL history and the all-time Kings leader in goals scored. He is in his 7th season as Kings president, business operations. Robitaille, who had his popular number 20 jersey retired by the Kings in 2007, is clearly one of the greatest players in NHL history. He played 19 seasons in the NHL, including 14 with the Kings. I would like to note he played a very important year in 2002 with my Detroit Red Wings when he won the Stanley Cup. I have to get a plug in there. I'm a Red Wings fan. My colleagues know that. Yeah, boo, right. We did lose just 2 nights ago. Since retiring as a player and remaining, assuming his executive position, Robitaille has had tremendous impact on the Kings business operations department, especially in the areas of sponsorship, sales, and renewal, fan and customer relations, game entertainment, media relations, and broadcasting. Since 2007, 2008, the Kings have increased their number of sellouts at Staples Centers each full season, and the team entered the 2014 season with 68 consecutive home sellouts while enjoying record revenues on the whole. Please join me in welcoming Luc Robitaille.
So, how do I do this, John? I say a couple words and then you come up? Do I have to introduce the guy who's going to ask me questions? No, it's great to be here. Thank you very much. It's it's an honor to have had the opportunity to play a game. I mean, when you're a little kid, whatever your dream may be, sometimes it could be to be a football player or to be a doctor. We always talk to the kids about chasing their dreams. And for me, I was 8 years old. I was shooting a puck and I was enjoying it. And then here I am, 49 years old, and still working with a game that I love. So I feel pretty fortunate every day. I think the way they want me to start a little bit is just to explain to you guys how we built the Kings in the last few years. So I'm assuming we got a bunch of Kings fans in here. All right. So it really started, I think now today it's 9 years ago when we hired Dean Lombardi as our GM. And for the first time in Kings history, we set out to have a full rebuild. It was very important for us to have homegrown players, that it meant something to be a King. We wanted them to understand what it is to be a King, what it is to play in Los Angeles and to play for our organization. Along the way, ever since then, for you guys that follow us, I think we have over probably a dozen ex-Kings that work for the organization. We've rebuilt our alumni. We have an alumni of over like 50 to it could be as many as 100 guys following us everywhere, but locally I think we have about 28 guys, and then there's guys following us everywhere. So for us it's very important to have that. In sports you always hear the word culture, but we understand it's very important that you gotta live it every day. So 8-9 years ago, what we wanted to do is, like I said, is to build some homegrown players. And I know we're talking here about business. You can imagine Los Angeles, where you compete with every sports team in this town. The hardest thing to do is to tell your fans, okay, we're going to rebuild. So the word rebuild in sports, what it really means, excuse my French, but it means we're going to suck. And be patient with us, please. And so for a few years, our fans were very fortunate, because the LA Kings, for you guys that have been following us for years, how passionate our fans are, and they understand. But I think that the right thing that we did is we were honest with them. We didn't say we were going to compete for the cup. We said we're going to rebuild, and when we're ready to go, the position we want to be in is we want to be able to say every summer, which on July 1st in hockey is our free agency area, is we want to be able to say at that time, you know, who can we add so it gives us a chance to win the Stanley Cup. And for sports, it's very hard to win a championship because you're one of 30 and everybody wants to do the same thing. But we know one thing is if every summer we can say, you know, what can we do to get better? We know if we say that, we mean it, our players are going to believe it. And if we know, if our players believe it, then we know and we're certain that our fans will believe it. And it's really the way you want to build a business in sports. You want to make sure that your players believe it first. And then once your player believe it and your staff believes it in the organization, then everybody else that's with you along the ride, which is our passionate fans, they will understand that. And, you know, the last 4 years we've had a tremendous ride. We've had one of the best rides in sports. It's with a salary cap today, it's very hard to repeat, but we've won 2 Stanley Cups in 3 years. It's been a lot of fun. It's been very, very special, I think, for all of us that follow this team. It's absolutely incredible what they've done. I mean, you know, from the beginning when we talked about building our organization, we always talked about character. We wanted guys that, as much as what it meant to be for the Kings, we wanted them to understand what it means to compete every day, because it's a grind in the NHL, and the playoffs are even more of a grind. And I mean, it's 2.5 months of every day grinding it. I mean, I don't know, you guys, you know, there's a lot of Kings fans here, correct? So just for the guys that maybe haven't seen as much hockey, I could tell you, if any of you guys have seen at least some pictures in hockey, or those young men with their beard, the idea of the beard in the playoffs, just so everybody understands, it's the idea is when you go in the playoffs is you're going to war. So you're going to go for 2 months and you're just going to let go because, you know, every day you're just supposed to battle. So, and that's the idea why these guys, you get at the end and it just looks messy because they're only 21 and 22 years old. There's like bad growth everywhere, you know. But the greatest one is like, you know, I'm on the business side now and we have like roughly 100 guys. And the first year when we started doing the playoff beard, and a few guys in our office started doing the beard, and you know, about a week into it, they show up at the office, they're all trim. They have the beard, but it's all trim. I'm like, you guys don't get it. That's not, when you go to war, imagine you're dropped in Vietnam in the middle of the forest. You don't have time to trim your beard. You know, you're just stuck there. It's got to grow. It's got to be ugly. Anyway, it didn't work in the office, but it's you know, so anyway, we built our team, and it's all based on character. Anybody that has the opportunity to play for the Kings now, it's about winning, but we want to make sure we have the right people and the right chemistry. And if you look at our team, and I don't know if you guys saw, we have this show 24/7. It was on Epix the last month, and you really see the camaraderie that they have in the locker room, which is absolutely incredible. And if you want to win in sports, you have to have that. You have to have, like in hockey, we have 4 lines of forwards and 3 pairs of defensemen, and if the 4th line is the one that worked the hardest, that's how you're going to win the championship. And that's what we do in business. We always tell everybody in the office, like, you know, everybody has to bring their best, and that's the only way we're going to be successful. And you look at the Kings, and you look at our 4th line, whether it's Kyle Clifford or sometimes Jared Stoll, and even last year there was a few times we had Dustin Brown there, and we had Mike Richards. These guys work so hard, and it pushes our superstars to be even better, like guys like Anze Kopitar and Jeff Carter and so forth. And that's how we won championship. And you know, your weakest link, if they're your best, you're going to win a lot of championships. So I know we're going to take a few questions, but John, are you going to ask me? Is that how it works? You're going to ask me some question, and then we could go? All right, okay. All right, thank you. Oh, okay. Oh, I screwed it up.
Don't worry. No worries. No, you know.
I screwed it up. I blew a big surprise.
No worries, Luke. I just wanted to introduce somebody who's on my front line at the Grazie Dio School, and that's John Paglia. He serves as Associate Dean over our fully employed programs. He launched our Pepperdine Private Capital Markets Project, He's a very talented person, but most importantly, he's a huge hockey fan. So I couldn't allow this event to come to pass without allowing him some sort of opportunity to participate in it. So please welcome John Pegga as he interviews Luc.
I wasn't sure of the setup, so sorry.
That's okay. It was a perfect segue, Luc. We appreciated that. Sometimes we need someone to keep us on schedule.
That's right.
It's either that or we start to grow a beard.
No, we got time. We're just going to want to, well, that's right. We'll go to the game when it's time.
That's great. So just a couple of questions, and then we will kick it out to the audience. So folks, if you want to start thinking about some questions you may have for Luc, that would be great. So I guess first question, Luc, is obviously while you were a hockey player, you were a leader on the ice. And, one question we have is, what sort of skills were developed as a player that helped you during the transition when you became president of business operations in 2007?
I think that everything you do as a player or the way you live in the locker room, which is kind of a special world, that's why you always hear when a player retires, what they miss the most is that feeling in the locker room, because it's very special, but you learn a lot about life where there's a structure of leadership. You got your coach, your assistant coaches, your captain, your assistant captain. There's a tremendous amount of respect. Even though you tease each other every day all the time, there's a tremendous amount of respect, and then we're very good at learning to listen and follow the rules and then follow a certain structure. So you take that and you turn around to business, and if you're able to understand that and be able to be like on the business side, it's a lot of the same, the same structure, and we have a tremendous amount of respect. The biggest difference I would say between being a player or getting in business is you have to be a lot more patient when you're in business, because if you make a mistake in hockey and you lose the game, you have a game the next day or the day after, and if you win that game, you're okay. But in business, you make a mistake, it might take 6 months to fix it, and that's a lot longer.
Yeah, and then you have to grow that beard and go to war
That's
again.
right, it's a long beard.
That's a dangerous situation to be in. So obviously, over the past couple weeks, the Kings have been extremely successful. 8 victories in a row. And have climbed themselves back into playoff contention, whereas 3 weeks ago it looked somewhat precarious. So how do you keep the team motivated?
I think they motivate themselves. Like I said, I always still go with the structure. There's the coach and the players, but if you go back and if you for any of us that watch our team like daily or watch every game since December, except for the game that we played in Washington, which that one we really seemed to have a really bad game. Every other game before that, for almost 2 months, we outshot every team. We basically outplayed every team. We would win a few, lose a few, win a few. We just couldn't get in that streak, and it would seem like we couldn't get it. We call it puck luck, where you just. But there's one thing about our team, like they play the same every day, like the Anze Kopitar, Drew Doughty, Kyle Clifford, Jordan Nolan. I could name you every player, and they play hard every game. And that's the one thing, they're very honest. So if you keep doing this when you play a team game, sooner or later, you're going to turn things around and you're going to go your way. And pucks started bouncing our way. And, we're definitely, like, guys getting a little bit more confidence because it's mental. But work ethic-wise, they've played the same as they've been playing for almost 3 months. It's just that they turned it around.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And hopefully the streak continues tonight. I'm fully confident
we'll
it will.
keep this going. Yeah, we'll keep this going,
So looking back on your career, some of the accomplishments Dean Smith had mentioned already, highest scoring left winger in history by point standards, certainly have had your jersey retired, Stanley Cup as a player, 2 as president of business operations, many other accomplishments, and then of course next month you're going to have a statue unveiled at Star Plaza. That's on March 7th, by the way, when the Penguins come to town, which, of course, is another team you have in your history there. Of all the accomplishments, Luc, what's your proudest moment and why?
I think my proudest moment was my first game in the NHL. Because that's like, I was like, okay, I got here. Because I was picking the 9th round, So I remember in Canada, a lot of my buddies like, oh, 9th round. you don't have a shot. I mean, you're like an afterthought in ninth round. And I remember thinking, well, I'm on the list. They got to look at me. You know, someone's got to pay attention. So I worked really hard, and when I finally got to my first game in the NHL, I'll never forget that feeling of just like you step on the ice, you go, I made it. This is not then I was like right away, well, man, I better play well. I'm going to be out of here quickly. You know, but that was probably, that was the greatest thing. And then every day after that was like almost like a bonus. And definitely winning it as a player, it's something very special because like Dustin Brown even said when we won the last time, you never know what it takes to win. You think you do as an athlete, but you never know until you win it. And when you win it, you go, that's how much it takes. It's that special. And so for me to win it, I felt very fortunate because I feel like I learned a lot. And when I came back here with the Kings, I feel, and Dean, you know, I brought a lot of stuff from the Red Wings just to help us, the Kings, to turn around. So when we beat the Red Wings right now, it just makes me feel very special.
We'd all appreciate that. It's going to be tough, Dave. Sorry. So switching to a personal topic for a moment here. You know, our benefactor and namesake, George Graziodio, once said, "The money you earn feeds your family. The money you give away feeds your soul." And back in 2005, you and your wife, Stacia, introduced a charity called Shelter for Serenity, to help displaced youth, and have expanded that here into Southern California through Echoes of Hope. And the program is set up to help youth who have been troubled in some way and give them the love and support and guidance really to help them reach their full potential. It's really a notable accomplishment of you and your wives. That being said, what motivated you to head in that direction, and how has it fed your soul?
I won't go too long on it, but it certainly has been special because we basically see emancipated foster youth through college. We see them all the way through, so it's a lot of one-on-one, it's a lot of sometimes taking care because they don't have anybody they can relate to, and it's been very rewarding when we see them graduate. One of the kids actually works for the foundation now. Another one's a big attorney. He does all our contracts, so it's all for free, which is great, and very rare, by the way. And but it's I think the way my wife and we feel is you know, she's always been one of those special person that wanted to make a difference and give something back, and I think she even made me understand, even though I knew that a few of us are fortunate enough to live our dream, to fulfill our dream. When it's very hard to say when you're 8 or 10 or 12 years old, and a lot of kids today don't even know what they want to do, but my dream was to play hockey. I didn't know if I could. But I feel that when you get to your dream, if you could give back a little bit, and sometimes it's not necessarily doing all the big charity work, because certainly we could do that because we're fortunate, but sometimes it's just giving away an autograph or looking the kids in the eyes and just saying hello, because it's, when I was a kid and I loved the Montreal Canadiens, and I got to meet a couple of players, and they looked at me and you know, look in my eyes and say, "Good luck, kid." And I believe they meant it. You know, I didn't know they really didn't know me. Actually, there's a funny story. There's a guy from the Montreal Canadiens that was like, he wasn't a superstar, but years ago, like I think I was 9 years old. I waited in line for almost 2 hours, and when I got to him, I only had like a matchbook, and he wrote his initial because he had to sign so many autographs. His name was Pierre Bouchard, so he wrote PB. So years later, I'm playing in the NHL, and he's working for TV. He's interviewing me between periods. So he says something. He goes, I don't know if you know me, but I used to play. And I go, I know you. I go, I waited for 2 hours. You gave me a dumb autograph. It just says PB. I go, couldn't you written your damn name? And he just froze. He didn't know what to say. So I never forgot that. To this day, we stayed friends, but I was good. I couldn't wait to get him, too.
Had he known, he probably would have wrote that out for you.
That's right.
Yeah, great. Well, now's probably a good time to see if there are any questions from the audience. So it's a little difficult to see out there with the lights. Is there anyone who has a question out there?
Go ahead, ask it, and I'll repeat the question.
How hard was it to make a transition from the locker room and playing games to the business, boardroom?
How hard was it to the locker room from the locker room to the boardroom? It's, I was fortunate that when I retired, I knew I was done. So like it was like take a lemon and there was nothing left. I felt I gave everything I had to the game. I wasn't good every day, but I know I gave my best every day. And so when I retired, the first thing for me is I had no regrets. There's a lot of players, sometimes they retire and then they have regrets. And for me, the other thing is I realized right away, I said, I hope I can live another 40 years. So I wanted to do something else. So the transition for me, I think we had a lot of good people at the Kings too. And it was a lot of fun, a lot of really smart people. So we were able to work together. The one thing I had to learn quickly is the HR thing. There's no HR in the locker room, trust me, none whatsoever. What you see on that 24/7 show, it's cut out by 90%. Because it wouldn't be rated R, it would be like, that was that MA, like mature, or...
Battle mode.
That's right.
Yeah. Excellent. Any other questions out here?
Yeah.
So Luc, you work for two great family ownerships, the Illiches and the Anschultzes. What working for the two different families, what have you noticed there as compared to what you hear from other people who work in the NHL for some of the corporate owners?
We're working for the Illiches, the owners in Detroit, and Mr. Anschutz here. Like the similarities are pretty amazing to me. I was very surprised, even because as a player I knew Mr. Anschutz and I had met Mr. Illich a couple times. I think the only difference when I retired that I knew we needed to fix with the Kings was there was a perception in Detroit that Mr. Illich was at every game. It was very vocal and very present, and Mr. Anschutz was not. And to my biggest surprise when I was in Detroit, we never saw Mr. Illich the entire season. And we saw him when we won the cup, and we had a dinner at his house. And but we kind of knew he was passionate about the team, and he was willing to do whatever it took to win. So when I started with the Kings after I retired, I felt that almost like sometimes our company was taking a bad rep because we were building Staples Center and everything around, but the Kings fans didn't really understand. They thought there was other passion, whether it was real estate. But to my biggest surprise, Mr. Anschutz never said no to us. Like, we've had some crazy plans in the last 8 years. We've tried a lot of crazy things, and we made some crazy trades. We signed, trust me, we made a lot of mistakes. We signed some guys that we shouldn't have signed, but Mr. Anschutz has always supported us, and his word to us when we meet with him is like, stick to the plan. If you guys have a plan, stick to the plan, and he's forced us to stick to that plan. And he comes to the games. He's very aware of what's going on. Nancy, his wife, knows every player, every wives, and knows everybody on the team. So she's very, very, very passionate about our team. So it makes it a lot of fun when they come over. But the two families are two very family-oriented. You see their kids, their grandkids when they come to the game. So they've been very, very special as both owners for myself and everybody. I had the opportunity to work for them.
Fantastic. Nice story. Any others?
Oh, right there.
Right here.
I've been a fan for 48 years. I just want to congratulate you and the current King management and ownership for a fantastic recently. And my question is, what was it like to play with Wayne Gretzky?
You deserve those cups. 48 years. That is great. Thank you for your support all those years. To play with Wayne Gretzky, for any hockey players, that would be special. But for me, when I think I was 13 years old and Wayne started in the NHL, he was 18. And literally, I wanted to see every game that he played. I idolized the guy, and it was absolutely amazing. I idolized him so much that when he came in LA, it was very hard for me to talk to him. So the first year and a half, 2 years, I don't think I said more than 2-3 words. I would go to dinner with him, and I'd just sit in the back and not say a word because I was so shy. I mean, a great story. I think it was the first year Wayne was here, Robbie Fittoric was our coach. He put me on the ice with Wayne. I was like so ecstatic, and I just wanted to show Wayne, that I could be a good player. Because as a kid, you got to remember, I wanted to be Wayne when I played, like before when I was 14, 15. So I'll never forget then. Wayne was like any players, you always talk on the bench. You'll say, like, give it to me, I'll give it back to you, or you exchange messages. Sometimes there's a bunch of F-bombs, sorry kids, but there's a lot of stuff said on the bench. But one of them was, I'll never forget, about 3 or 4 games into it as I'm playing with Wayne, we're going a 2-on-1, and my idea was I was going to give him the perfect pass so he could score in an empty net. What happened is I gave him the perfect pass, the defenseman chipped it in the air, and we got back to the bench, and Wayne wasn't mad. He says, they used to call me Lucky. He goes, Lucky, next time you get it, just give it to me right away. I'll make the play. And I'm like, I guess he's right, he's got 200 points a year, and I should have thought of that, So anyway, for the next 6 or 7 games, literally every time I touched the puck, it was like a grenade. I just fired it to Wayne. Poor Wayne was getting in his skates everywhere. I was so nervous. I just wanted him to be happy, And I'll never forget after, it was a game in LA, after the first period, Robbie Fittoric, he comes to me, he goes, I got to take you off his line. He goes, you can't just give it to him. There's other players on the ice you got to play with. So I was all sad, and I ended up playing on another line, but it was okay. I played with Bernie, so I was in good company. And then, I ended up coming back and playing with Wayne on a power play. But literally, I was so nervous. I just wanted to do everything right for Wayne. It wasn't good for the team. That's not a good thing to do.
That's great. Next question.
Yep. The most competitive player I've ever played with and against. There's a lot of guys I played with that were super, super competitive, like Ian LaPierre, Tony Granado, Matty Nordstrom. These were guys every day, every practice, they went all out. I can remember, he coached for a few years, Dan Bilesma. I played with Brian Leach. I was fortunate to play with Brian Leach. So many guys, it's hard to remember. I played with Alf Samuelson, who was the dirtiest player ever, but he was probably one of the most competitive guys I've ever played with. And I was fortunate to play with a lot of guys like that just gave everything a little bit more every day. And if you were working out with them, they had to beat you. Literally everything. It was kind of fun because they pushed you. I would say the guy against, that was the toughest guy to play against, and the reason was he wasn't the biggest. It's just that he never let you win, and if you won a battle, he was going to make you pay the price for the next 3 shifts, was Chris Chelios. He was ultra competitive. He played till he was, I think, 48 years old, and he was the same when he was 48. He was just a special athlete.
That's great. How about one more question from the audience, and then we'll move on to our next steps here.
Yep, right there.
Right here.
As a businessman and a player, what kind of advice can you offer to any aspiring entrepreneurs in the audience?
I think I always believe, and then it's like we talk about, for us, the Kings, when we weren't good, we used to talk about, let's get ready for when we're good, so we always found the positive side of it. It was like we set a light at the end of a tunnel. We knew that we were going to have to go out a few doors and go, but we set up goals, and we kept going. And a lot of time, if you compare that to a sport, it's a lot of the same. But you got to believe in what you do, and you got to stay the course and always believe in your team. I'll give you a great example, and I'm sorry for all the Seattle fans, but there's no way if you're at the end of the game and you got the best running back in the game, you throw the ball. You just run it 3 times, and at one point you call timeout, you look at your linesman, you say, listen, guys, this is the Super Bowl. This is your life. You got to run this guy in. There's no way these guys wouldn't run him in. That's what I mean. So when you go in business, you got to be the same. Whether you're on a big losing streak or a winning streak, the most important thing is you got to believe in the people you have, and you got to make sure everybody works hard and pull together. And it always comes down to people. You can have a great plan. you can do everything right, but it comes down to people. If you have the right people and they all work together, because we all believe in the Kings. We want people to grow. Like we lose people. They go to other teams and they become vice presidents. Sometimes we can't afford to pay them because it's not in our structure and so forth. But we help them to grow. We don't hold anybody back because we believe in growth. And I always tell people, if Gretzky left LA and the Kings are still standing, we can all leave. And the business will still be standing as long as we work hard. But I would say the biggest thing is people.
Great, that's excellent. And to close it out here, my 6-year-old son, who you met and signed his puck, thank you very much for that. He has a couple questions. Okay. Carson, do you want to ask those of Luc? Do you want to come up here? No, okay, he's shy. He's like you were with Gretzky. It's fair. At any rate, I first want you to know he takes offense every time people boo you. He took notice of that in the stadium during the Rob Blake ceremony and was unaccustomed to that tradition.
Greatest name in sports to have, because technically people could be booing you, but I kind of took it as a positive that they were going, Luc, So bad game, good game, you always think they're with you. It's kind of good.
That is good. And what advice would you have for a 6-year-old who is aspiring to be on Los Angeles Kings someday?
Get on your skates and have fun. I'll tell you. Here's my story. If it's hard for you to wake up at 6 a.m. to go to practice, choose another sport. Because you can't teach passion. Just have fun. If you like hockey, play hard, have fun. And then when you're 17 or 16 or 18, that's when your path will be there.
Excellent. On a final note, who's going to win tonight?
Oh, we will. It's a big game. It's not going to be easy, but it's a big game, and our guys know what come out. I'm sure you guys saw a trade. It was a big trade for us because, like I said, we tried to be in July and what can we do to win the cup. And this year at the trade deadline, which is coming up Monday, we looked at ourselves and said, what can we do that can help us have a shot at winning the cup again? And we need a defenseman, and our GM, Dean Lombardi, and Rob Blake went out and got the best defenseman available on the market right now. So we're pretty excited.
Thank you very much, Luc. And I'm going to turn it back over to Dean Smith.
Ladies and gentlemen, Luc Robitaille. Thank you, Luc.
Thank you.
Luc, we want to thank you. We don't do things small at Pepperdine. We want to thank you with a statuette of George Graziodio, our benefactor. So we hope you find a place in your office for that. Thank you for your time tonight. I also want to announce, Luc, just one more note. Pepperdine University is going to donate 25% of the ticket sales for tonight's event to the Echoes of Hope Foundation. So I want to let you know we want to support the good work that you're doing there with your wife, Stacia. So
I forgot to say, I love your school. It is the greatest school in America.